Robbie Williams Rewind.
Welcome to Robbie Williams Rewind. We are the champions. I'm Matt.
And I'm Lucy.
And along with help from special guest fans, we take you on an in-depth rewind through the solo career of multi-award-winning singer, songwriter and entertainer, Robbie Williams.
Today we're talking about Robbie's B Sides that came from the singles off Escapology and the European and Australian leg of his Weekends of Mass Distraction tour. And we have our very special guest today, Rhiannon, all the way from Australia. Hello, Rhiannon.
Hi, Rhiannon.
Hi, thanks for having me.
That's all right. It's a real pleasure to meet you at last.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you for coming
it's very
on.
exciting. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to do the Escapology B Sides because there's some of my all-time favourite songs on there. So I was very excited when that was my assignment.
Excellent.
Oh, superb. That's great to hear.
So we've obviously never met because we're on opposite sides of the world.
Yes,
But we have
correct.
sort of had the odd conversation on Robbie's app.
Yes, the famous up front.
Yeah.
We've been in the
Slash
same
Robbie
room,
Williams
but more of a virtual room.
I know. It's funny, like, how you get to know people from other sides of the world and people you never would have met otherwise. And you become friends with people that you haven't physically met as well.
Yeah.
But I think it just makes, like, when you come to the concerts and, you know, in Australia and I know in England as well, the queuing's crazy. Like, it can be 24, 48 hours, but it's just like one big family because everyone already knows each other, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely.
So
Good to meet some fellow crazy people as well.
Yeah,
Share
exactly.
the same passion.
I know. It's always good. So tell us, what made you a Robbie fan? Or how do you discover him?
Yeah, so it was Rock DJ was the first song that I discovered him, and I was 11. So
Yeah.
I was born in 89. So, I was, I think, about 11 when that came out, and I just remember the film clip and just not being scared but mesmerised by it. And I think Escapology was probably the first album where I'm like, huge fan. Like, I
Right.
just loved that whole album. I just remember, like, studying in high school and I went through a bit of a rough time at high school, so that album was just on repeat. So it was almost like a bit of a savior for me.
Yeah.
I just, like, remember just listening to it nonstop. I think I was saying to you earlier that I wanted to go to the tour and there was dramas because Dad wouldn't let me go. And I think it was just the charisma and just how he was on stage. And I just remember watching Nebworth and just wishing I was there.
Yeah.
I think that DVD just made a lot of people fall in love with Robbie Williams and just really recognise him for the entertainer that he is.
Yeah.
So did you like go back and listen to all his back catalogue and all the Take That stuff as well?
Well, I had never heard of Take That until, like, I discovered Take That because of Robbie.
Yeah.
So, whereas I know a lot of people, it's the other way around. That's how they know him. So I was sort of opposite. Went back and, you know, it was buying all the CDs back then. I had a full collection. Once I turned 18, they were all in the car and discovered him, I guess, from probably Escapology and then before that, the back catalogue, like you said.
Great. So do you have, like, a favourite album or song? I'm guessing it's going to be Escapology.
Yeah, I find it now to split hairs between Escapology and Take the Crown because I love Take the Crown as well. I think that's one of his best, but I'm a very sentimental person, so I think just Escapology taking me back to being younger and all-time favourites Come Undone.
Ah.
That's definitely
the same
definitely
as
the fave.
Same as Katie in our last episode.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I just love that song. I don't know what it is about it. I also really love One Fine Day as well, which we'll talk about. But that's one of my other favourites as well. But we don't get to hear that one live too often.
No.
It'll have to be for another under the radar gig.
Yeah. What about a favourite tour or live show? Have you seen him?
Yes. So I feel like I have to say Swings Both Way Tour just because I got chosen to be a bride on that tour in Sydney. So
tell us about that.
I had a dream. So I saw him in Melbourne and, like, usually I'd go to all of the concerts, especially because it had been so long between him coming to Australia. He hadn't been since intensive care. So I was like, when he announced, I'm like, I'll go to them all. But I had to fly interstate for a good friend's wedding. So I couldn't go to all of them. And I just had this regret that I'd only seen one concert. And on the Wednesday, I dreamt that I flew to Sydney. I hadn't had flights or tickets booked, and I had this dream that I flew to Sydney and he chose me to go on stage, and it just felt so real. And the next day I booked tickets.
Oh, wow.
It was sold out, so I just bought tickets on eBay.
Yeah.
And I just flew up there for the day. I got there at about 11, jumped in the queue, didn't know anyone. I went up by myself and just got picked to go up on stage. So that's where I met quite a few of the Aussie fans for the first time that I'd spoken to on Up Front, which is really exciting. Just got picked out in the audience, and the rest just sort of feels like a dream.
So what was that like, going up on stage? Were you nervous, or did you just really enjoy it?
I was, because you look out and there's 20,000 people just staring back at you, and I made the mistake, the concert was in Sydney, and I made the mistake of saying I was from Melbourne, so I got booed because there's a lot of rivalry there. But it just, he grabs your hand and squeezes it, makes you feel really comfortable, and it was just awesome. It was a really cool experience. I just remember looking over, is this even happening? It was very hard to believe. I was listening to Sarah's podcast, Sarah Hoylands, and she's like, it was just surreal when she met him, and it really was. It was just, I still can't believe it happened. I still watch the videos back. I'm like, did that happen?
Aww.
And were you able to get any words out when you were on stage? Did you speak to him?
Oh, I think I was just a giggling mess. So at the end, he gave me a cuddle and just sort of said thank you. And it's a bit of a blur, to be honest. I think I'm more used to remembering it from the videos that were taken than it actually happening, because it was just very, very unreal. So that's definitely up there. And he did, last time he came to Australia, he did some gigs at some wineries. So they were open air winery gigs, and they were really cool. I really enjoyed them as well.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And they were seats,
Sounds
so we
good.
weren't queuing for ridiculous hours.
Oh, they were seated, were they? Oh.
Yeah, there was seats at the front.
Oh.
So it was seats at the front and standing at the back. So it was
how
nice
weird.
to be able to catch up with some people and then just go to the front and get your seat and not have to stress.
Oh.
And was there any wine involved at the winery?
Yes, there was a lot of wine. He often jokes about how drunk everyone was, because it's Australians and alcohol. It's a recipe for disaster. And I think he said on Instagram on a live or something, he's like, everyone was just so drunk.
Yeah, yeah, I remember him saying that.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just a different gig from him, I suppose. It was really cool.
Yeah.
He seems to really enjoy playing in Australia. Why do you think that is?
He's been asked the question, just before he announced the Swings Both Ways tour, he came and did a one-off TV show, and I think maybe Angie or Carly asked him a question. You had to win tickets to be in this exclusive studio audience, and I was so lucky got to be there, and I wasn't friends with the girls yet, but one of them asked him, and I think he just said, because we understand his humour and sort of have a similar banter, I suppose, and personality, we're really laid back, and I guess just accept him for his cheekiness and not too much offends Australians. So I think he fits in really well.
Oh.
So hopefully he'll be back soon.
Well, hopefully, because rumours are he's recording Better Man, the film there. Next
Hopefully.
Year. Yeah.
In Melbourne, which is where I'm from. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I think you're going to have him over there for a little while.
Hopefully there'll be some crowd scenes that they might need people for that you could go to.
I wouldn't need to act, so it would be so.
Exactly.
I might win an Oscar for how great my acting skills would be. Very realistic.
Yeah.
It's true, actually. They probably will have to do some sort of outside of venue scenes, hotel type scenes, probably maybe even concert type, gig type scenes.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
I saw they were casting for Take That lookalikes, so the casting call's gone out for those.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll pass as anyone, so I just have to be a crazy fangirl extra.
Yeah.
I think they were asking for Liam Gallagher as well, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
It was a very strange description on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? I didn't see it. I'll have to go look.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
They were all funny,
It
actually.
was odd, wasn't it? Yeah, the way that they were describing what they wanted and the type of characteristics. It was a bit weird, wasn't it? The way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, very exciting. I was saying earlier that we had the last time he was meant to do a concert was 2 days before COVID really hit the fan, and he was in Melbourne and the gig got
Was that at the
cancelled.
Grand Prix?
Yeah. So I'm like, the Grand Prix is when he should be filming here, I think. So we'll just do a makeup gig for us all.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
You'd
Time will
hope
tell.
that he would want to do something like that. Hopefully that works out. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he does want to.
Yeah.
Or Under the Radar 2.0.
Ooh.
But only for Australians.
Yeah.
Because no one else would be able to go.
I know. Our borders are opening, so we'll be.
Are they?
Yeah, hopefully soon.
Maybe by that time, yeah.
Yeah.
Lucy's not sure she can handle coming to Australia, so you need to reassure her, Rhiannon, that she could survive. You know, people do live in Australia without getting killed every single second.
It's only because of the spiders. I'm absolutely terrified of spiders.
Oh, yeah, like we do have some, but I feel like no more than what you'd have there.
Yeah, but they're like killer ones, aren't they?
Not all of them.
They're not all trapdoor spiders. It's okay.
I think you need to have some therapy with Rhiannon so that she can tell you what it's really like.
Yeah. I'd be more worried about snakes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm selling it for you.
Yeah. So if you could ask Robbie one thing, is there anything you'd ask him or say to him?
I don't know. I feel like anything I'd ask, like we've just been so lucky with Upfront and even the Instagram lives. I feel like I've probably asked all the things like that I'd ever expect to ask. I'd never expect to ask him a question to start with. So I feel very lucky with Upfront and everything it's given all us fans. Like I was listening to the earlier podcast with Sarah and like she said, not many people do that for their fans. And
True.
yeah, I just think we're just very lucky. I did ask him to start unbuttoning his shirt again like he did for the Supper Club gig and he started doing that and gave me credit. So that is my claim to fame in Robbie Williams.
Thank you for that.
He started wearing his shirt unbuttoned again. So I feel like maybe I'll just ask him to start doing that again because he sort of stopped.
That's a good thing.
He does take advice sometimes from people, so
He does. I remember he responded the next day. He's like, I think I unbuttoned my shirt because of you. I'm like, okay. I'll take that.
Yeah. And what does Robbie mean to you?
I think like I was saying earlier when I was talking about the Escapology album, like I just went through a bit of a rough time in high school with bullying and things like that. And at that time, I guess that album and his music was just a bit of a safe space where I just felt like I could unwind and just, be me. So I think it's just always been sort of that safe space for me. And whenever I'm feeling down or happy, like I just will put a song on and listen to it. I've got a nearly 4-year-old son, and I'm trying to make him Robbie's #1 fan as well. So like I'm just, it's good times and bad times, and, music just lifts your mood all the time. So, and it's just something fun to have a passion about as well. Yeah. And, I just love going to live music. Obviously, Robbie's gigs are my favourite, but, just creating friends through the connection that we've all found because of him. Yeah. Especially, that's what Upfront's been awesome for too.
Yeah, it really has, yeah. It's a shame that it's not existing anymore.
I know. There's nothing for us anymore.
No, it's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Robbie Williams Rewind podcast.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yes.
We have this, and many other fans. Many other fans who are running pages on Facebook and trying to keep things going. But I think next year there'll be a big comeback because
I feel like there will be too. There's something brewing.
25th year filming. There's there's obviously the Stoke gig, Munich,
Bonn.
Definitely going to do something in Australia, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I think lots of special events, probably not like a tour per se, but lots of special events I think will happen.
Yeah.
I feel like he's been too quiet. Like
yes,
there's something happening in the background.
Yes.
Feel it in my fangirl bones.
So should we talk about the songs now?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah. Escapology B Sides.
Yeah. So the first one is Nobody Someday demo. It was written by Robbie and Guy, and it was a B-side to Feel, and it also appeared on In and Out of Consciousness. This song opened the film Nobody Someday. I'm not really sure whether the song was written for the film or they just decided that the song fitted that part of the film. It obviously opens with Rob singing it next to a big fish tank with a Statue of Liberty inside it. which I always find interesting. Was it in his house or were they somewhere
How many
else?
fish were in the fish tank?
Not many. It was mainly just a big Statue of Liberty head.
Right. Oh, just the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, Guy was accompanying him on the guitar. And
Yeah.
Robbie says it's one of his favourite B-sides. On his app, he has said that. And that's all the facts I've got for that one. So, Rhiannon, do you want to go first? What do you think of Nobody Someday?
It just makes me sad, this song.
Yeah.
I love it so much, but it makes me feel really sad because
Yeah.
you can only assume the words that are written, but it just feels like the lyrics just feel a bit lost and sad. But I love it when he just sings with the guitar. Like, I think his voice just really suits it. I think there's another B-side we chat about as well where it's just him and the guitar, and I love how his voice sounds, but it just sounds like someone who's a bit lost in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's like beautiful, heartfelt singing, isn't it?
It is.
There's the lines about taking the photos and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just quite heartheartbring.
But they take my picture, taking my soul away.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
it.
It's just, it's heart-wrenching, isn't it? It's like, imagine that feeling. We can't imagine it, can we? What it's like to be photographed constantly.
Oh, no, and just like literally your whole life through that lens.
Yeah.
Like your lens.
Yeah. When he says, I'm the man who threw it all away, destiny is calling, telling me to be boring. Not sure whether that was about the fact that he left Take That and he threw away all of that relationship with them and everything, and also with all the drugs. I don't know what that line really means, but
Well, I've noticed actually since we've been doing the podcast that Robbie often writes in contradictions, doesn't he? So you know, you kind
very
of
much.
maybe it's a little bit of the bipolar sort of side of destiny's calling me, but then actually, why don't I just be boring?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
or am I boring? There's always this conflict, one or the other, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I love the way he contrasts things like that. Actually, it really it's throughout all his writing, I think.
You're telling me to be boring. Actually, he does just want to sit in his house and watch telly.
Yeah, there's probably a
And
voice
it's
there saying that. Yeah,
It's almost like, he talks about stage Robbie, and that's a different person to who he is. And I feel like that song really talks about the two sides of who he is, the famous side, but then the side who does just want to sit at home and play FIFA and not talk to people.
Yeah. And not be looked at.
Yeah. Is it Chris Heath that's talking in the song?
It's Guy, isn't it? I think it's Guy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I know they talk about that song in Feel, I think, as well. Like, it's written in the book.
Yes.
That they sang to him, like he sang the song to them in Feel.
I think I saw a clip of the video of it. Didn't because it sounds as though it's recorded on a VHS camcorder.
Yeah, it's
because you can kind of hear the whir. You know how you used to be able to hear the whirring of if you were filming something on an old video camcorder, you could literally hear the motor running in the background.
Yeah.
And you can just hear that. And then they're in
maybe Chris Heath was filming him and Guy.
Yeah, or
they're
writing
in
the story or
the
something.
Caribbean somewhere, wasn't it, when he recorded this? 'Cause it sounds as though he's somewhere like that because you can hear the cicadas or the crickets or something in the background. It sounds tropical.
Oh, right.
So I have visions that I've seen them set on some kind of veranda in like a tropical place. Was that not on part of the documentary?
No, because in the documentary he sat in front of the fish tank. And
Okay, so I've dreamt that scene and merged it into another memory. Okay.
I know what you mean, though, because I've got a sort of vague memory.
Sure, I
of
saw a
that as
guy and
well.
him sat on this veranda and him playing it, which was the VHS footage.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe there's two versions.
Do you remember, Rhiannon?
Possibly. I don't remember that, but I feel like that's maybe why it feels like such a sad song, because it's associated as well with that documentary.
Yes, exactly.
And
Yeah.
that documentary felt a little bit sad.
It's the same. It takes me straight back to watching that film when I hear this song and how I felt watching it and how heart-wrenching it was seeing how he felt.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, but very sad.
I also like the line, "Gotta watch my figure, boy, if I get much bigger, they'll stick a pin in me and I'll blow away.
Yeah.
Takes them back to those take that lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody loves a fat pop star. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
reminds me of that.
Coming down on the Swings Both Way tour, like
Yeah.
in his balloon suit. I loved that part.
Yeah, we always know Robbie likes to talk about weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the rawness and the authenticity of this song, and the fact that it is a demo just kind of recorded on a VHS, and it's not polished, it's not produced, it's just really raw. His vulnerability comes through in it. You can hear him clearing his throat, you can hear a few sniffs, but it's just really raw and nice. And he sounds obviously quite emotional when he's singing it. It's just a very, really authentic piece.
I like also when he says, "I knew before we sailed away," and his voice kind of cracks on the
Yeah, it does.
sailed away bit. And then he misses out a line. I've always wondered what that line actually is. 'Cause
Yes.
it sort of doesn't say a bit and then carries on, then at the tip of my ego. Yeah, I'd like to know what that line was, whether he actually even knew it or whether he hadn't written it yet or he just forgot it. Knowing him, he just forgot it, didn't he?
He didn't have the order, like the prompter at the bottom.
Yeah.
But I think like you were saying, like just with the crackles and just the imperfections of the recording just suit that song well, and I think just add so much to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely don't need to make a proper studio version of it.
No.
I'd love to hear him
take
sing it
away.
live, just acoustically. It'd be really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something, as we were preparing for this episode, obviously that's the one that you put on first. And that's the one I've been listening to every morning. Got my speaker in the shower and it plays. And yeah, like you say, it feels sad, but also it's just a really beautiful song as well. So there's a feel good feeling there as well about it. So again, it's that dichotomy which only Robbie can seem to create, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, at the end, is it Guy saying, I've never quite been able to hear what he says. Is it something like, it's all it needs to be, isn't it? It doesn't need a little bit. Is that what he says?
I don't know. I know he like gives his little, like that's brilliant in the song and stuff like that. I love the little words of encouragement in that song.
I think that is what is said at the end. That's what I heard it as. I saw you note that and I was like, yeah, it does sound, it's all it needs to be, isn't it? It's sort of mumbled, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's slightly off away from the microphone.
Yeah.
Doesn't need a little bit. So obviously they must have been talking about
whether it
does it
changing.
need a little bit of tweaking, changing, before Robbie did it. And then
obviously they knew it was perfect.
Yeah,
as it was.
It really is. Yeah,
it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I can understand why it's one of his favourite B-sides.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I don't think, well, he may be, but I have a feeling Rob's not too worried about being nobody someday anymore.
No. I think he still wants to be somebody.
He's somebody. He'll always be somebody. There's probably a voice in his head still telling him he's nobody, but I think he's put those demons to bed mostly.
Mm.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think he's too much of an icon to be a nobody now.
Yeah, definitely. So the next song is Your History, and this was written by Rob and Guy and was also a B-side to Feel. And that's all we've got on that song.
Mm.
Do you want to go first, Matt?
Extensive setup on Your History. Yeah. Well, yeah. I think I have a theory about what this is actually about.
Oh, right.
And I think you might have said to me, or maybe your notes might say, that is it about Rob?
Oh, yeah. I was asking, is it about Rob?
But listening and reading the lyrics, I've got a theory on the song, just mine. I've never heard him say this. But I wonder whether it's about a woman whose other half, boyfriend or probably husband, went off to serve, I don't know, maybe in the army, the navy or something like that, like in the forces. Because it says killing fields, went off to the killing fields. And that is a reference to people who go and serve and fight. And I'm wondering when he was gone, whether it sounds as though the woman was cavorting around with other men, hence putting him out like a cigarette.
Oh, okay.
And then she says, "Don't bother coming home again. He'll be all right because he can get the girls again. Tits done, moved away, leaving bills to pay. He was a righteous man." And the guy was still in love with her, obviously, but now he drinks to comatose. Your history. So I'm wondering whether it's sort of
okay. Yeah, that sounds plausible.
But Killing Fields could have thrown me completely off the scent here, because that could be just a metaphor for something else, like going out and doing something, I don't know, like singing on stage maybe. I don't know.
What do you think,
But that's
Rhiannon?
my theory.
I think you're pretty spot on with that. Like, it's almost like everyone says Taylor Swift writes revenge songs, but I feel this is like a big revenge song. I wouldn't like to be the person that this was written about. It's very angry. Obviously someone's been very hurt along the way.
Yeah.
It was the got your tits done and moved out the very next day.
I love that line.
It's a clever piece of storytelling, and then suddenly there's a line like that.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
The way he sings it as well.
Yeah.
All you left was the bill to pay. What a front. And I love that, because it's the two meanings of what a front. I.e., what a pair of tits.
Literally a front.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know who it's about, whether it's about that he's written from his experience or like firsthand, or whether it's he's heard a story from a mate, or I'd be very intrigued to know who it's written about.
Yeah.
I really like the melody in this song, and it does just get stuck in my head. I find myself sort of waking up singing bits of it.
Yeah. And I think it's very much like about someone moving on, like even the last, towards the end, just seeing how he can drink with the boys all night and have a fight all right and then spew. I feel like that's exactly an approach that someone would take if they were heartbroken, going out with the boys to try and heal themselves, drinking too much and it not ending well.
No.
Yeah, that's definitely right.
And the other person saying, "Oh, it's all right, they'll be all right."
Yeah.
When they're clearly not going to be all right.
Yeah.
It's a very storyteller song as well, I thought.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And another favourite line is the Cupid stunt bit. Is he saying Cupid stunt or Cupid stunned? What do you think? I think it's Cupid stunt. You think it's stunned?
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Because if it's Cupid stunt, then obviously, what do you call that when you change? Yeah, I don't know. It's probably a word for it. You mix the letters around, and it means something else.
Oh,
yeah.
So you think it means stupid cunt?
Yeah.
Just to provide the example of what Lucy's talking about. Yes, there is a word for that. What that is, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah. But then when you look at the lyrics online, they all seem to think he's saying Cupid stunned, but I don't know.
Well, that still works in the same.
Yeah, it does.
It's still. Yeah,
it's not
I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
How many times do I end
line
up
a bit
saying the
more
C
now.
word on this podcast? And
Yeah, I
Lucy
know.
always gets me to say it as well. Sorry, listeners.
This is why it's an explicit rating on our.
Well, that
podcast.
needed an explanation for me, so it needed an explanation for everyone else as
Yeah,
well.
we don't want anybody left with any doubt about these things.
Exactly. We're here to educate.
Yeah, so it's just a really good rocky song, isn't it?
Yes.
And also, I really like the backing vocals on it as well. They go really well with it.
Yeah, I think the music fits really well with the anger in the song as well. It just matches really well. It's done perfectly.
Yeah, it is.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So let's move on to One Fine Day.
Yeah, okay.
This was written by Rob Alone. This was his B-side to Come Undone and was also on In and Out of Consciousness. In Feel, it says that Don't Rewrite My History came from when he logged on to Friends Reunited and saw that there were 4 or 5 people pretending to be him and saying things like, "It's Robbie, you know what I've been up to."
Can you imagine that?
Good old Friends Reunited, for those people that didn't know what was before Facebook.
Yeah.
We had Friends Reunited, which was a site that you could join and find out what all of your old school friends were now doing.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, there was no real way of doing that before. So
Yeah.
it was quite a revolution when Friends Reunited came along.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was no way of authenticating or
No.
validating who you were. So if you wanted to go on and say, I was Robbie Williams and I went to school in Stoke,
Yeah.
you could.
Yeah.
You still can now.
Yes.
I used to just
Well,
Robbie Williams
that's
all
happening
the
a lot,
time.
isn't it?
Yeah. Very true.
The song's original inspiration was an episode of The Simpsons where Grandpa, falling in love, said, "You remind me of a film that I never saw and a time I've never had."
I didn't know that. I love that fact. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think it's the only song inspired by The Simpsons, but
Yeah.
I can certainly hear Grandpa saying that.
Yeah.
The start of the chorus, "One fine day in the middle of the night," is the first line of a folk poem that Rob learned when he was young. He said, "I think my mum and dad were in the same room in the house and subconsciously lyrics just flew out because they were there. It was weird seeing them together. The line, 'Remember when we never struggled through a bad time we never had, a love we never fell into,' that's my mum and dad."
Please don't remind me to forget, because forgiveness is a place I ain't got used to yet. As much as my mum says she's cool about it, I don't think she is. Still, it's probably what it could have been, the relationship with my mum and dad. You remind me of a place I've never been and something no one said when I was 17. That's probably from my perspective. Please don't rewrite my history, because you'll never really know how much you didn't mean to me. That's sad. That's Robbie talking there, obviously, not me. And Rob sung this on the National Lottery Right Ticket. There's a blurry copy on YouTube. He also did sing it on the Robbie Williams show in 2002, saying he'd only just written it the week before and only rehearsed it a few times. And it also appears on the US version of Escapology, the actual album. So, Rhiannon, would you like to go first on One Fine Day?
This is one of my favourites. I love this song. And I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's because Come Undone's one of my favourites and it's the B-side to Come Undone.
You were
I would have
probably
listened
playing it all the time.
Yeah. I probably didn't take the CD out of my CD player for a week and a half straight.
Yeah.
I just love the voice and the simplicity of the song, but how beautifully it's sang. I really think that sometimes some of the songs that Rob does, the music's really loud and you lose his voice, but this is just his voice.
Yeah.
And it's just the melody and the music and the words. Like, I know you touched on some of the lyrics, and they're some of my favourite ones, whereas I didn't realise they were written about his mum and dad, so that's really interesting to know. But I just love this song. There's just something about it.
Yeah. I like the line, "Please don't remind me to forget, because forgiveness is a place I ain't got used to yet." That's really clever, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And the way he sings that bit. And to be honest, for me, I do like this song, but it's not one of my favourites. So it's good to have your perspective on it. I don't know.
It's funny what everyone resonates towards, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got clever lyrics.
I feel like often some of his songs do talk in riddles, and I feel like this is sort of one of them. You sort of can't place what it is 100% about. That's why I found what it is about so interesting with the fact. But I think a lot of these B-sides from Escapology do sort of speak in riddles a little bit.
Yeah.
It's obviously sort of a style he was writing with at the time. Even Come Undone, I know it's not a B-side, but
It's true.
you know, there's the flip side for every line on that song to what he's talking about.
I love the intro to this song. You got that kind of simple acoustic guitar, and then it builds out. The electric guitar comes in. Again, you know, sort of that layering that Guy does. I've noticed so much. And I love the One Fine Day vocal and harmony. You just have to sing along when that piece comes on. I don't know whether you've heard me in the shower singing along to that one.
no, I
I
don't
sing
think
along
I
to a
have.
lot of them, but that one in particular. Yeah, and like you say, Rhiannon, writing in riddles and contradictions, that does seem to be a very common theme in this particular part of Robbie's songwriting, and I love it. It's just clever. It just makes you think, you know. So you can enjoy the song and just let it wash over you, but then when you actually listen to the lyrics or read the lyrics, you're like, clever. So there's a lot in there, and I love the line, "All I ever wanted was to radiate your home."
Oh, yeah.
What does that mean?
I think it means
Heat it up.
make your house warmer,
Warm.
full of love.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'd say.
I agree.
It's a clever line, though.
It's
isn't
clever, yeah.
And
And
even
then-
the "So come reminisce about a time we didn't have," which is just after that. I really love that line as
it?
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he says, "One fine day in the middle of the night, you wake up in it."
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
What do you wake up in? Something.
I feel like it's almost like, especially after hearing about what the song's about, it's almost like when you wake up and you just realise that you're just in that place that you didn't want to be
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just sort of happened without you even realising you're there.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
that's true.
With his parents, I suppose they were
Yeah.
together and then one day they're not. And
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's his mum waking up realising that
It's just happening. Yeah.
she's in it, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, these are the questions we need answered. Maybe that's what I can ask him.
Yes.
In my one question to him.
Yeah.
The challenge, Rhiannon.
Yeah.
We've mentioned this on a few of the other podcasts. We all know Rob fairly well. Is that on one day you may get one answer, and another day you may get a slightly different answer.
100%.
And I'm not convinced that he even knows. I just sometimes I think he does. I'm not being rude. I'm not being disrespectful, but sometimes he plays with us and the media, if you've
Yes.
noticed, you know.
100%.
But it's still worth asking him because it'll be an entertaining answer, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's interesting that the song seems to have been pulled from different things, like, you know, the Simpsons grandpa
Yes.
and Friends Reunited and his parents' story.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of random. You know, you hear about him having Post-it notes all over his computer. So when he opens it, it's got mini Post-its all over his screen, apparently, all just full of lyrics that he's thought of. I can't remember who said that, whether it was Chris Heath or
Yeah.
someone else. So I just imagine that some of these are lines that he's had
Put
just
them
written down
together
and
into
he's
one
popped them
song.
all in the song together. Yeah, just to make it sound good.
Is the version in and out of consciousness slightly different?
Oh, I'm not sure. It might be.
I don't think it's the exact copy. I'll have
Oh.
to double check. But yeah, I think I remember buying that album like, oh my God, this song's on it. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And I think it was like slightly different, like maybe different music or something. But I think it was changed a little bit.
I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Mm.
You'd know if it's one of your favourites.
Yeah.
You would have noticed.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have a listen to that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Happy Easter, War is Coming. This was written by Rob alone. This was a B-side to Come Undone, probably a play on John Lennon's song, Happy Christmas, War is Over. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So shall I start with this one?
Yeah, that's the end of my extensive
I know.
research on that one.
So
You
I
start, yeah.
like the opening woo on this song. I don't know why. It's just fun. I really like the melody of the chorus. It's got a great vibe and arrangement, and it's another one that really gets stuck in my head. I like the line, "Write a song, it won't change the earth, just the people on it." Because obviously it's
that is
yeah.
a powerful line.
Exactly.
indeed.
Because obviously it's the people changing that needs to happen to change the earth. So yeah, I just think it's
yes,
really
Earth-
great, that line.
My philosophy on that is that Earth and nature and everything will carry on to a certain extent. It's definitely the people that need sorting out.
Yeah.
Yes, profound.
But my take on this song is that it's about the Vietnam War of the late 60s and early 70s era.
Oh, yeah.
I won't go to war, lay down your guns, what are we fighting for? I want to play with the dolphins, etc. And then the free love bit, that's very much that era.
The anti-war protesters.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hear the sound of 1 million people sitting down. I think that's like the protesters against the war. Because I think apparently something like 2 million people protested in America against that war. So yeah, that's
I really like the end of that song too. Like I think it just ends really cool. Just that, like those last lines that you were mentioning, free your love, free love, free love. Like it just, how it finishes is really nice.
Yeah, it is. And the other line that I found funny is, I was born with a silver shovel in my mouth. Why is it a shovel and not a spoon? That must mean
golden
something.
Balls and a platinum smile.
Yeah. I don't really get that bit as to how that relates to the rest of the song, but
no,
it makes me smile.
It's very
Silver
random,
spoon
isn't it?
Is normally to do with being posh and talking in a very posh and eloquent way, isn't it? So maybe shovel is more what he feels, like the way that he is and talks, possibly. I don't know. It's a funny line, though.
Yeah.
It's a really catchy song. I like when he sort of switches into that bit more of rocky mode, and I feel like he did that a little bit throughout Escapology as well with the album. Like there'd be a few little like rock songs thrown in there, and I just like the tone of his voice when he does that. But yeah, I think it's really catchy. It's a song that you can listen to over and over, and I feel like you just don't get sick of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when he says hold on to this, what are we holding on to?
I don't know.
The first line. So I've always got these questions, Rhiannon, hold on to this.
The piece? I don't know.
There's something crawling up my wrist.
I don't know what those lines mean.
Yeah.
And I like that I want to love my brother loving me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's probably, like you said, like it could relate to, fellow soldiers, fellow countries that you're fighting against.
Exactly. They're all just fellow humans, aren't they? So why are we fighting?
Yeah.
It's quite profound. I mean, some of Rob's lyrics can be, purposely contradictory and funny and cheeky, but there's something in this about, that touches me, lay down your guns. What are we fighting for? I mean, it's true, really, isn't it? What exactly are we fighting for? Most of what we know and what's going on is just a story, and it's all stories, and we're all human in the end. And I kind of sit back sometimes and think, what on earth is going on?
Yeah.
So I can understand him. This song, when he wrote it, was probably quite therapeutic in a way to sort of lay it all out there and actually say, Vietnam might have been the trigger for it, but it's about all conflict, isn't it? And and I love his raspy voice and his tone on this one. It's just it just really complements. It really works. Yeah.
And the music sort of reminds me of It's Only Us as well. I don't know if it's just like the upbeat, rocky sort of tune, but it has that feel.
Yeah.
Obviously, different tone of song, but I guess just the music itself. It's like, it's weird because it's an upbeat sort of rocky song, but the lyrics aren't upbeat when you really dissect them, I suppose.
No, yeah. Which is quite often the way with Robbie's songs.
He has a clever way of doing that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Right, should we talk about Berliner Star?
Yeah, let's talk about Berliner Star.
So written by Rob and Boots Otterstad, who he wrote Come Undone and other songs with. It was a B-side to Something Beautiful. According to someone on genius.com, which is like a lyric website, the song is inspired by Eva Friedel, who was a character from the 1995 anime film Memories. And Eva Friedel was a famous opera diva found on the space station, sending a distress signal in the movie. But I don't really see how that relates to this song, and I think it's just a name as far as I'm concerned that he's used. I don't
It rhymes with needle.
Yeah. I'm not convinced it is actually about that person from that film. I think it's just a name he's used. But
I think you're probably right, Lucy.
Yeah. But it's a bit random, isn't it? But
it is. Well, yeah.
It's a bit of a random.
Does that surprise you?
No.
Does it surprise you, Rhiannon?
No.
No.
So in this, the way he sings this song, I don't know why, it kind of reminds me of David Bowie.
Oh,
Just the way he's singing it. In a kind of weird, I don't know what the word is. A weird kind of way.
Yeah.
Just his voice.
I hear what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's about a German girl or if it's about drugs. Because if it's about drugs, I don't really know where the Jesus God came between us bits fit in. What do you think?
I think maybe it's all of the above.
Yeah, probably. Another one where he's put everything into the song.
I think I was quite young when these songs came out, and I just remember, and I still really love this song. Like, I think it's just so fun to sing along to.
Yeah.
But geez, I did not know what it was about at the age of 13, 14. And me singing like the lines, like you said, weed was evil, so we smoked it in the lobby in the hotel foyer. Yeah. It wasn't even noon yet. We didn't want to peak too soon yet. And I was just singing along, singing the lyrics out, rocking out, just no idea what it even meant.
Yeah.
But that's like a few of Robbie's songs, you realise a bit later on.
Yeah.
I think this song is wunderbar. 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 There we go. You rock like a bastard. Great use of German words in this song. That's not a German word, but wunderbar is.
Yeah.
Auf Wiedersehen, Berliner Star. Yeah. The rock vibe of this song is cool as well. It's really gets going. And then I've said he was basically okay until God came between them and she fell for Jesus.
Yeah.
Another reference to Jesus.
I don't know whether it's, she turned to God and didn't want to be in a relationship with him. I don't know. It's weird.
Moved away from sex and drugs and rock and roll and lived the pure lifestyle.
Yeah.
Possibly. Because you're right, Rhiannon, and it does seem to, I try to, sometimes it's not a good thing to try and work out the exact meaning of Rob's songs, but because there isn't always one. I think you're right. I think it's about lots and lots of different things. It's about love and drugs and some connection to Berlin and
I always kind of listen to it as though like he was talking about like a prostitute or something as well. Like, I always sort of got that vibe for it. Like, I'm a sucker for that instant satisfaction. I mean, that could also be a drug reference, but I just feel like there's a few little perhaps hints in there. I might be reading too into things and wanting a bit more of a story than there is there.
Yeah.
I really love the bridge in this song as well. I know it's just the same thing over and over, but I really love it. There's just something about it. Like, driving in the car, if you've had a bad day, you're just screaming, you are everything to me on the way home. Yeah. It's just, I really enjoy the bridge of this one.
He kind of sings it a key higher than the rest of the song.
Yeah,
it just sounds really good.
Really catchy.
Yeah. And the line, there's nothing more obscene now than seeing where I've been. Like, can you imagine, like, trying to even see where he's been, It's just like parties and drugs and sex and rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely obscene, I'm sure.
Probably good he can't remember some of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, shall we go on to Coffee, Tea and Sympathy?
Yeah.
Yep.
So this was written by Rob, Glenn Ballard and Billy Morrison, and this was the B-side to Something Beautiful and also appeared on In and Out of Consciousness. He introduced it at the Under the Radar gig by saying it's literally a letter from a fuckboy, which is what he was in the 90s. He's also said, I was breaking lots of hearts on the search for Mrs. Williams. This was me saying sorry. He's described it as one of his favourite B-sides, and it should have been on Escapology. He's also performed it on Instagram Live.
Yeah. So Glenn Ballard, who he helped write it with, is an American songwriter best known for co-writing and producing Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill album, which won Grammys for Best Rock Album and Album of the Year. He was also involved in Michael Jackson's Thriller, Bad and Dangerous, and co-wrote The Man in the Mirror. And Billy Morrison was in The Cult in the late 90s. He was also in a band called Camp Freddy, a group which Robbie suggested the name for, named after a character in The Italian Job. Billy said, "My mate Robbie suggested that we use that as a name for our first performance, and we thought it would be fun." Camp Freddy, the band, ran from 2002 to 2014 and included Dave Navarro from Red Hot Chili Peppers and Jane's Addiction, Matt Sorum from Guns N' Roses and Velvet Revolver, Donovan Leitch, or Lech, I don't know how to say your name, sorry Donovan, and Chris Chaney from Jane's Addiction and Alanis Morissette's touring band. They were a covers band who've had about 100 guests singing or playing with them, including Robbie, Slash, Kid Rock, Ronnie Wood, Steven Tyler, Lou Reed, and Macy Gray, and obviously loads more. So yeah, that's how he wrote that song with these guys, because he was hanging out with them and this Camp Freddy band that they were in. And this is one of my favourite Robbie B sides. Love it. Always loved it from the first moment I heard it.
Yeah.
And,
Why?
It's the melody, I think. It's just such a great tune. Just sticks in your head. And I think, obviously, the lyrics, you know, they're not really very good. The fact that he's having to apologise to all these women that he's slept with.
Yeah, there's that.
But they're kind of fun, aren't they? Step on board the gravy train. Same old faces, different names. And I never really will forget you. I'm sorry, dear. Have I met you? I love that line.
Dear.
I have my needs. I hope she leaves. Yeah. Yeah, I was really happy when he sung it at the Under the Radar gig. It was so good.
I couldn't believe he sung it at Under the Radar. Yeah. I wasn't there, unfortunately. It's quite a long trip from Melbourne to London.
Yeah.
But I remember watching the lives and waking up, like I think it was in the middle of the night or really early in the morning. And as I started watching the stream, he was singing this, and I was so excited because it's one of my favourites as well. And I couldn't believe that he was actually singing it. And it was so good to hear it live. And I guess that's what Under the Radar is all about. It's about us fans hearing these sorts of songs that only we know and truly love and listen to over and over again. So, I just thought it was great that he sung this.
Yeah,
there was a noticeable, like almost a gasp. You could feel the energy change in the room when he started it. Especially I could hear Lucy like singing it. But I could hear everybody else doing the same. And so the whole room changed and everyone was like, "Oh!" It was a cool moment, actually. I don't know whether he picked up on that, but it really, didn't it? Yeah, it was just, it was cool.
It was unexpected, I think. I don't know why. Yeah, we should have expected it because he has always said it's one of his favourite B-sides, and it wasn't going to be a B-sides concert. But it was just everyone was so happy to hear it.
Yeah, I feel like hundreds of girls would relate to this song. Especially from about the time Escapology came out. But I feel like there's probably a lot of girls who listen to this song. I'm like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
But I love the line, "I'm a million miles away and she's too blind to see." Because like, you can just imagine these girls just so wrapped up in the fact that they've had their one night or their little fling with Robbie Williams, and they just would have been oblivious to everything that was going on, that he just wasn't even there.
Yeah.
They were just too happy in the moment.
Yeah. I think it's a cool song, even if it is about Robbie Williams, the fuck boy. And there's some brilliant lyrics in it. One of them I picked up on, "Find my car, forgot your name." I mean, I'm assuming that's his driver in his car, rather than him like pulling out his keys and getting in his car because he can't drive. But it works as a line. And what else? Yeah, doesn't call them back, I'll be your stranger. And then I absolutely love the chorus of this song. There's something so clever about it. "And the clothes remain the same. I fear to face the walk of shame. Be nice to know you. I'm soaking in the morning rain. Find my car, forgot your name. Be nice to hold you.
Yeah. So he's enjoyed it in the moment, hasn't he?
Yeah. It's met the needs.
Yeah.
But it's very much the walk of shame. Most of it's around the walk of shame the next day, isn't it? Getting out, clothes on, getting out the door, leaving, or them leaving.
I'd imagine it's normally them leaving.
Them leaving. Depends where he is.
Which is why he says, I hope she leaves. Doesn't try and hang out with him all day.
And I love the section of the song where it's because I'm a sensitive boy, the real McCoy, don't want to stick me on your bedpost, and it gets really like high and aggressive, and then it just drops right down to and I never really will forget you. I'm sorry, dear, have I met you? I just like that real difference between those two sections of the song. Yeah,
it's great.
And I wonder if it mended a few hearts.
Yeah.
This song or just made it worse.
Probably made it worse.
It probably made it worse. Oh, that night didn't mean anything at all. Oh, well.
I feel like it's almost an explanation to a lot of people rather than just calling them all, here's a song and this is how I feel.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
I've only lies to sell you. Yeah. He gets them in bed, or used to. And then that's that.
Good therapy for Rob, though, I think, writing this song, probably just getting it out and saying that's the way it was. And honest.
Yeah, very honest.
Yeah. But isn't it great that he actually writes honest songs like this? Or,
Yes.
Just so few pop stars do,
Yes.
You wouldn't see Justin Timberlake writing, obviously he's married now, but he wouldn't have written a song like this.
Yeah.
No.
And I like the I don't want your love, it's not your love that I need. Like it just says very much about that moment. And
yeah.
I really like this song as well. And like I said, I was just so excited to hear it live through Facebook Live. But I think, like you said, I think it was a song that no one expected to be played.
Yeah.
It was just such a nice surprise. I think a lot of people like this song. So, and obviously Rob does too.
It should have been on Escapology, let's face it. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm sure they could have squeezed one more song on.
There was a lot of songs on Escapology as well. So what's one more?
Yeah.
It's the song that keeps coming back into my. Obviously, we've been listening to the songs intensely for each episode, like 2-3 times a day sometimes. But it's the song that keeps popping back into my head, and it's the "Be nice to know you." That line just rings in my head, in a good way. It just keeps popping back in. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I can hear that song. So apparently techno is shite. So I've been told. So we're going to move on. So we're going to move on to techno is shite. Written by Rob Alone, he said in an MSN interview with Chris Heath in 2002 that this was the first song he ever wrote on the guitar. And you can hear Rob singing part of it in a YouTube video called Robbie Williams MSN 2002 Web Chat Jamming with Slash. So go and check that out, because this isn't really a song that was ever really
it's not
released
a proper song.
Or on any kind of CD or even on his website. He explained that he was sat around his swimming pool with Slash from Guns N' Roses, as you do, and some of the Camp Freddy guys from the sounds of it, after having done a gig with them, and he picked up his guitar and played this to Slash and everyone there, and he said, everyone stopped and listened and laughed in the appropriate places and then clapped at the end. It was a very surreal, beautiful moment. And I had the balls to play that song that only had 3 chords in it to Slash, who is one of the most amazing guitar players ever.
And also from Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd just throw this in because, he's talked about the Camp Freddy guys, and that's obviously where this song arose. And, when he played it to them. So I don't know who, he wrote it himself, didn't he?
He did, he wrote it. Yeah.
So not with any of those guys. But it's a funny song if you check it out. It's, I'd love to hear the whole song because the lyrics sound hilarious.
What do you think about it, Rhiannon?
I hadn't heard this until you guys sent it through to me, and I was in fits of laughter. Just, you know how he's such a storyteller, and just the way he was telling the story about how he's sitting there, like you can just envision him sitting there with Slash, and he's like just playing this little song. And But it's just so random.
I know.
It's just so literal. Like, I think there's a line about the people jumping around and the money falling out of their pockets while they're raving. I'm like, I'd love to know where he was when he wrote it.
Yeah. Worked through my stash, met a guy with a handlebar moustache.
Yes. All through the night, handbag shite. That's what I quite like. Ended up with in a gay bar with you.
And it says making funny shapes with their hands while they're dancing. I think that must be like the big fish, little fish, cardboard box dance or something. I don't know.
Kind of, well, techno, you have to have your hands out, don't you? And before that line it's, and they can't dance. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he must have just accidentally ended up at a rave or something, and he was just like taking it all in and felt the need to write the song, because it is just so literal. Like it's just like his experience in that moment.
Yeah.
All through the night, techno is shite.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Did it end like that?
And it's got some Spanish in it as well, hasn't it? Don't know what it means.
No.
I think it was Spanish because he said he was in Madrid in the song.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So yeah, just a little thing to say, check that out. We'll share the link on our social media if that helps, but you can just search it on YouTube.
It's also quite funny if you watch the video because you can tell he's sort of quite excited about the story. You see his eyes sort of lighting up a little bit, telling it. He's like a little schoolboy sort of telling it.
Yeah.
But then he's realising, you can see him realising about the name dropping, Slash around the pool and, the Camp Freddy guys and Clang. There's all these names being dropped during the interview. It's funny.
What does he say? He's like, I'm dropping so many names, I'm going to hurt my foot or something.
Oh, yeah.
In it. Like,
that's it, yeah.
Roll out the dad jokes. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. But I thought also it was interesting to see him sat chatting with Chris Heath.
Yeah.
To see them actually interacting in real life after knowing how much time they've spent together and the books that Chris has written.
And it was almost like, he's like, oh, I won't play it. And then he thought about it and he's like, this is a good story. I'm going to play the song now.
Yeah.
Like, someone go get me my guitar.
Yeah. I won't play it. And then it was literally like 1 second later. Yeah, I'll play it.
Oh, you twisted my arm.
Get me a guitar.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to the next song, Get a Little High, written by Rob and Boots Otterstad. This was on Sexed Up as well as In and Out of Consciousness and the US version of Escapology. He performed it live for AOL sessions in 2003, which can be found on YouTube. And at the end of that, he says, John Mayer, eat your fucking heart out at the end. I've heard of John Mayer because of him having gone out with like Jennifer Aniston, I think. And I think he's a serial celebrity dater.
Oh.
But I don't know any of his music, so I couldn't say whether Get a Little High is John Mayer-esque. I don't know.
It's a little bit, but not overly. I guess he sort of does like some indie, like softly sung songs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, what do we think of Get a Little High? Rhiannon?
I feel like I'm saying this about all of them, but I've always
songs.
loved I feel like the Escapology B Sides are some of his best ones. But I really like this song, but again, it was like it's come out when I'm 13, 14 and I'm singing along. And I have a better understanding of the lyrics as I've grown up and understand what they mean. But I feel like even though he's singing to someone, I almost feel like he's talking to himself. Like I think it's almost like you're just doing these things to get by and cope in this moment, and that's okay, whatever you need to get by, like just a phase to get you through getting by. I think it's another sad one. I feel like a lot of the B-sides are quite sad and
I guess that was his headspace.
A little torn. Yeah. But I really love how he sounds on this song, and just some of the lines I just think are, really, really well thought out and really well written.
Yeah, they are. you don't know what to tell them because you don't know where you've been, and you've been there so many times before. That's, you know, his lost drug days, isn't it?
Yeah. I love that it's only natural to feel like you're sinking. It's only human to be so unprepared, because it's just so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everyone goes through that, and obviously depending how bad you're feeling it is how you deal, and in this case it's getting a little high.
Yeah. You always say you're sorry, but you never know what for, and it's been happening more and more. I'm guessing, you know, he knows he's messed people around maybe when he's been on drugs, and then he doesn't even know what he's done to them, but he knows that he needs to say sorry.
Yeah.
Something like that. The that's your role model slamming the door. I was wondering if that was something like Oasis slamming the door on him, because they were his role models, and then they fell out.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Could be.
The one thing that I can't stand in this song though is the act your age and not your shoe size and blah 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 blah.
Oh really?
I'm like, why is there not a lot? Why is it just blahs?
You know, I had that written down as well, Rhiannon, and I wrote it down, but I'm not sure why. I just that line stuck out to me because it is that typical parent, or certainly it was said to me once or twice, you know, act your age and not your shoe size. Or people used to say it jokingly at school. I remember that. The blah, 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 blah.
I get it, but I just feel like this song is so well written, and then it's just blah, 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 blah.
It sticks right out, doesn't it?
Yeah. It just really stands out to me for some reason. I'm like, just put another genius line in.
But people do say that blah 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 thing when they don't want to listen to what someone's saying to them. They just go blah 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 blah. I'm not listening to you.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why he's put that in, because he doesn't want to listen when they're saying act your age and not your shoe size. But I know what you mean. He could have put an actual line in there.
And it's almost like it could be anyone saying that, like even when it comes to the press and like, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's just like, oh, shut up.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the lyrics. So it's only natural to feel the guilt of a nation. It's only human when you're young. You're going to cry.
Yeah.
Profound again.
The guilt of a nation. That's how big his guilt is.
Yeah.
It's another sad one.
Yeah,
I just feel like some of these are just, I feel like a lot of the B-sides from this, they're either sad or angry.
Yes. Yeah.
Like they're very hurt or very sad. And I feel like this is obviously another one of the sad ones.
But it's a nice flowing song, isn't it? That's what I put here. It just flows nicely. It's nice to listen to, but it's not necessarily the happiest of lyrics.
No.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
Okay, so shall we talk about Appliance of Science?
Yep.
Okay. Written by Rob and Max Beasley, this was a B-side to Sexed Up. Max had written it, and Rob told him he'd like to record it if Max would let him change some of the lyrics, but Max refused. But later he changed his mind and let Rob record it in 2003. After a few hours of working on it together, it turned into Appliance of Science. When Rob and Max were at a coffee bean in LA a few weeks before, a homeless prophet type man had come up to them and said, "Don't believe in smart people. Smart people made the bomb. Clever dropped it." They added it into the song. Hopefully they don't get into a lawsuit with that homeless prophet. It's been known. This is only one of two songs Max has written, the other being Step Inside, sung by his ex, Mel B, from the Spice Girls.
Yeah. Perhaps he's written more, but they're the only ones I could find that had been published. So I really like this song. It sticks in my head a lot. Don't believe in Jesus Christ since I believed in your cocaine. I like that line in this one. So take your Sunday songs and shove it. And I love the news flash on this. Sometimes I don't like the weird little things he puts into those songs, but I like this one. 2 people burned to death whilst they were on the internet.
And now to the sport.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it seems to be about like religion versus science, basically. This song.
Well, as we know, I think some of our guests have already pointed out that Rob does play with religious lyrics and concepts quite a lot through his songs. I just think it's a really super nice song. The way he sings Appliance of Science, it's one of those lyrics that rings in my mind just because of the way he sings it. And it just draws me in from the beginning. I love the harmonies in it. And the line, we can be anyone we want to be.
Yeah.
Now, I know that he's sort of leaning on the science thing about cloning and changing us, but I also think there's a positive side to that as well.
Yeah.
And the opening just gets me. Come into the parish of wisdom, but leave your nervous system with the bouncer on the door. Sell your innocence for a decade of decadence. Everything all at once. All the time is yours. Yeah.
And I think the chorus is almost like a hope as well.
Yes.
With the appliance of science, we can be anyone we want to be. Like, it's
that's true.
that hope that will be the case.
Yeah. Hopefully things will change for the better eventually in terms of the planet and how people are with each other. It's just a really rousing song, isn't it? Like, yeah. And I love how the chorus repeats at the end with Robbie on the chorus, like backing vocals as well as the lead vocals. I just think it sounds amazing. Just really uplifting.
I always really liked the don't believe in clever people drop the bomb.
Yeah.
I just like it even more knowing the story behind it now.
Yeah.
But I'm different to you, Lucy. When we interrupt this song for the news flash, I never liked that bit.
Oh.
So it's so interesting to hear how everyone likes things differently. I just found it so random, but I always love and now to the sport section.
I don't know. I just like hearing about Dolly the sheep being 101 days old or dying when she was 101 days old. Don't know why.
There's a few other songs where he makes this sort of public broadcast style announcement, like the typical British. And now for the there's one I think coming up in a future episode that we've already recorded, but we were talking about.
I can't remember
which song it was, but he uses that in a few songs.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it just sort of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
for me anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's I think it's a really random song when you compare it to a lot of the other styles of songs on Escapology.
Yeah.
But I think it also, like, you see that within some of his albums where he starts singing about songs, things that he's really interested in at the time. And like, obviously with this guy coming up to them and things like that they obviously had an interest with what he talks about in these songs at that point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe, to do with Happy Easter War is Coming and Appliance of Science, they've kind of got a similar kind of theme, haven't they, where he hopes that the world is going to change and that we can get through these current times to a better time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So the next song is Big Beef. It was written by Rob and Guy and was a B-side to Sexed Up. Rob said in Reveal that it was about somebody in LA who let him down. So this song almost seems to sort of fly quite low under the radar, I think. Like, it's not on the genius.com lyrics website. And even I'd forgotten it existed until a while ago when I did have a copy of it, but because it was on a DVD single, I hadn't sort of put it onto iTunes. And so I hadn't listened to it for years and years because, you don't really put your DVD in to listen to a song, do you? And then I rediscovered it when I downloaded it from iTunes, and I really like it. I love the country vibe, and I don't like country music as a rule, but I quite like the sound of it and the kind of fiddle in the background. It sort of sounds like like a country song, or it even weirdly reminds me of kind of Poldark. I don't know why. Just how they play like the fiddle in the old days. It's just really fun. Yeah.
I mean, he is pissed though. Like,
oh yeah,
he is really pissed off in this song.
Yeah.
the line, I couldn't give a flying toss about your relatives you lost. I think
I
it's
know.
better that your bloodline stops from here.
Ooh.
I know.
Savage.
I wrote that line down
Yeah.
as well. It's savage.
Yeah.
He really, really dislikes this person who let him down. I'd love to know who it's about.
There's a lot of like poison in the lyrics. Like you can hear the anger and the hatred.
Yeah. You're a waste of time. I should have known you're a psychopath. It's who you do. I was lonely, we were having a laugh. Should have known, but worshipped a few. Yeah, it's just like, hates them.
And there's like, and Max, let's see what happens. I wonder if like that's related to like Max Beasley and it was like a mutual friend or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because it's definitely not
I hadn't really
about
thought
Max
about that.
Beasley, because him
No.
and Max are still fine. But
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't work out the Max link, but you're right. Maybe it's someone they both knew. Yeah. I love how it just ends abruptly as well.
Yeah.
A waste of time, and then it just stops.
Yeah, that style is almost like, yeah, it's in keeping with the song, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bang, stop.
Yeah.
Just like hang up the phone kind of thing.
Yeah.
End of conversation.
It's very much like no regrets.
Yes,
How
you're
the
dead.
love we once had is officially dead.
Yeah.
And then it just stops, like very similar to that.
Yeah.
They obviously had some sort of a relationship because it says, and you became my new best friend for a while
Yeah.
Yes.
before it all went south.
Yeah.
I wonder whether the line, I'm nouveau riche, what can you do, is a little bit telling as well in terms of who the other party might have been.
Well, so maybe they weren't nouveau
Nouveau
riche.
riche.
Maybe they were already rich.
Part of the establishment, maybe. You never know.
or
do you?
like just like an actor or
Mm.
other musician who's already... Oh, no, because they'd be nouveau riche as well, probably.
Who knows? Could they have been someone royal?
No.
Just an alleged rumour. No, not. I wouldn't write a song this poisonous about someone. I was looking on the lyrics from Lyric Find on the internet, and limb by limb, soak the skin with paraffin, drop a row, and then the next line says, hit the limb,
Hitting the limb, yeah.
hitting the limb. But I don't think it is that, because when I listened to it, he says, pretty sure he sings, drop a rohypnol in,
Oh.
which is sailing pretty close to the edge, as that's known as the date rape drug. So I almost didn't want to say this, but I'm
All
pretty sure he says, drop a rohypnol in.
What, instead of hitting the limb?
Yeah.
Because I did think hitting the limb was a bit...
No, I
Weird.
think it's the lyrics site, as usual, got it slightly wrong, because it's probably...
Yeah.
But they all say
Computer.
that, don't they?
They all say it, yeah, so I don't know where they get it from, but no, it was drop a rohypnol in, which is very weird. So yeah, this sort of goes along with the strange tone of the whole song, really, I guess.
It's another like angry one, like I was saying earlier. I feel like it's either like a lot of them are either really sad or really angry. This
Yes.
definitely falls under like probably the top of the angry list.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, Lucy was surprised to hear me say this morning, but it's probably one of my least fave of the bunch that we're talking about on this episode. I don't completely dislike it. I like listening to it. It's just not up there. You know, it's good fun lyrics, but all the other songs are better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too, actually. Yeah. I hadn't heard this one until you guys sent it through in the song list. So, yeah, I don't know. There's something just a bit too angry about it for me. Like, I think it's humorous with how it's written with the anger, but yeah, it's just very, very savage.
Yes, it is.
Indeed.
Especially about the bloodlines ending with them. Like, I was like, oh, who's this about?
I feel
Need
like,
the tea.
you know, I always seem to like his angry songs.
You do?
I can hear Sarah Hoyland in my head telling me that I'm a short, angry person.
You'll know she's in a bad mood if she's singing this song then.
Yeah.
You're not that angry though, really.
No, I'm not. I don't think
no,
so.
You're not really angry.
No,
person. You just
imagine
enjoy
that.
the angry side of Robbie's
Yeah,
lyrics.
I just find it entertaining. I don't know why. I shouldn't.
Screw you.
Yeah. It's just something about his angry lyrics that I just enjoy listening to. Which maybe I shouldn't. I don't know.
I think it's the passion he sings them with, though,
Yeah.
because I think there is something quite different, like about like the softly spoken ones to when he has like quite heavier music, and yeah, you can hear the passion behind his voice. Like he almost goes back to that emotion in that time when he's singing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I like that song quite a lot. So at least one of us does.
No, it's not I dislike it. I'm just saying, sometimes when you have to compare the group of songs that we're talking about, you know, you always have one that's sort of a little bit lower.
Yeah.
So should we talk about Women?
Yeah, Women, spelled WIMMIN apostrophe.
Yes. Written by Rob and Ashley Hamilton, Rob performed this on the Weddings, Bar Mitzvahs and Stadiums tour in 2001. Ashley released it as a single on the 2nd of June 2003, where it reached 27 in the UK charts. Ashley, who is the stepson of Rod Stewart, told contactmusic.com, "I don't speak to him on the phone or anything. People think he's my best mate, which is funny. I like Robbie, I respect him, he's a great guy, but we're not best mates. I kept reading that Robbie and I met through Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's so not true. We just met through a random friend in LA, and he asked if I wanted to write, and I said, sure. We went out and we had some coffee and dinner and talked and laughed, and then Women came out. And Ashley is one of the co-writers of Come Undone." And you can listen or watch Ashley's version on YouTube, but you can also listen to Rob singing it live from the 2001 tour on YouTube as well. So just search Robbie Williams Women, WIMMIN apostrophe.
Yeah.
And we'll share the link on our socials as well.
So,
Women then.
yeah.
So
I guess
what do you
I
think
must have,
about women? Sorry, that's very rude. Rhiannon and Lucy.
I guess I must have heard him sing this on that tour, but I don't really remember it. And it's not on the Cologne video from that tour. I guess maybe they edited that bit out, or he just didn't sing it on that date. I'm not sure, but the version of him singing it on the YouTube is definitely from a German concert, because he says some German to the crowd.
Yeah, at the end.
So yeah, it's an interesting song. Not really sure what I think about it, really. What do you think, Rhiannon?
I didn't love it,
No.
but it gave me like really like 90s 2000 movie vibes. Like I feel like it could have been like on American Pie or like something like that. Like I just felt like it would have fit in there perfectly when I heard it.
Yeah, that's good. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just had that like Smash Mouth sort of vibe to it. Like I don't know what it is.
Is it like
it's really weird for him?
Like a Blink 182 type sound about it?
I don't know. That was just like I could imagine it on American Pie or something like that. Like one of those movies at that time. But yeah, probably not my favourite. Like I was having a look at the lyrics and things like that. But yeah, it's not up in my top 10.
No, same. I quite like the ooh 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 backing vocal bits, and the other backing vocals are quite, I don't know, they're funny maybe, I don't know, not sure. Nice tits, nice ass, no class, no conversation, lots of drugs, lots of boys, lots of battery operated
Toys. Of course, Toys isn't on there, it just says battery operated, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's just almost maybe a little bit degrading. So maybe that's why it doesn't sit well with me.
Same.
Yes.
It's a bit misogynistic, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know sometimes he'll do those and like poke fun of himself, like World's Most Handsome Man and things like that. But this one just doesn't have that same humour vibe to it for me.
No, I know what you mean. I'd agree. Which is why I don't really listen to it.
Like I think it's time I found myself a supermodel. I haven't had one of those yet.
Yeah. I know that line as well. Yeah, I agree.
Hearing what you're both saying, I hear you, and I wonder whether Ashley Hamilton, I don't know him very well, I don't know, is he a little bit more egotistical than Rob? Is that possible?
Well,
Robbie, I mean. But I wonder whether it's a bit more him coming through in the lyrics than Rob,
because he's Rod Stewart's son, so stepson. So, but he did have actor parents himself, so he was obviously born into money and that kind of lifestyle.
It's just a little abrasive.
Yeah,
like Rob often gets away with saying what he says by doing the contradictions or the contrasts. Whereas this is just a song about going out and getting women. Most of the lyrics are just, I like women.
And I
go women every Friday. I like to get my feet wet, my teeth wet.
What did you say, Rhiannon?
Sorry, Rhiannon.
I was going to say, I have no doubt it was like that for him, but
yeah.
But he always tries to soften it or add some level of humour into it. And in this one,
absolutely,
there's a bit, but it's pretty abrasive, really, isn't it? It's I didn't really know what to say about it. It's a weird song, but I
think when you look at like Coffee Tea and Sympathy, it's a similar theme and similar context, but just done in a bit of a kinder way. Whereas this is like, sorry, don't really care.
Yeah. I can kind of see why he let Ashley record it and release it rather than him as well.
Yeah.
It's quite catchy. I mean, the tune and the melody stays in your head. But yeah, I'm not so keen on the lyrics on this one.
Ashley Hamilton looks like Robbie in the video version that he did. So if anybody hasn't seen that, have a look at YouTube. I think it's consciously done, isn't it? Surely.
Wow.
Or does he just look a bit... I don't know, just the way he has his hair spiked and
with blonde streaks.
And he's wearing like a black T-shirt.
Black vest.
Black vest, yeah. It looks similar.
Just looks like Robbie in 2003.
Yeah.
I think he's doing some of the same sort of microphone moves and stuff that Robbie does, actually. So I think he picked up on that, whether it was purposely or not. But
I think had it have been released by him, it could have probably got him in a bit of trouble with the public. So I think it was a wise move.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So, we're going to pause our rewind here for a moment to hear one of your Robbie stories. This time, it's from Gail in Iowa, USA. Gail, thank you so much for sending us your beautiful story and supporting the podcast.
Hi, my name is Gail, and I'm from the U.S. I've been a Robbie fan since 1998. The only Take That song released in the U.S. was Back for Good, but we really weren't introduced to the guys, so I didn't know much about who Robbie was until I saw his first video on MTV, which was for Millennium. His album here was called The Eagle Has Landed, released in May of 1999. After Millennium, Angels was released as his second single, and I was hooked, and I've been devoted to Rob ever since. I was never truly able to share my love with anyone else around me. He just wasn't very popular here. So to finally see him live in concert in Las Vegas with other people who knew his music was surreal after 20 years of just feeling alone. I actually did see him in person one time before. This was back in 2007. He came to Des Moines, Iowa, which was about a 3-hour drive away from where I lived at the time. He was with his LA Vale football club to play a game, but he announced that he was sick, so he was on the sidelines the whole time. It was a very small crowd of U.S. fans. After the game, he stood up on a box and signed autographs, but wouldn't take individual pictures with anyone. But it was the first time actually seeing him in person, so I was thrilled, and I had him sign my Sing When You're Winning CD. When he announced his Las Vegas shows for 2019, I knew I had to get there. I ended up getting a single ticket, a second row from the back, up top, high in the orchestra. But once I got upstairs in the theater, I was sitting there all alone, and a lovely girl who I don't know her name approached me and said, "Are you alone?" I said, "Yes." And she replied, "Do you want to sit in the third row? My sister couldn't make it, and I just want to give it to someone who's by themselves." I started to tear up immediately. Personally, I was going through a lot just to get to Vegas. My mom was nearing her end of her battle with cancer. She ended up passing away the very next month. I was her constant caregiver, but she really encouraged me to go because she knew how much his music meant to me. So all of a sudden, I went from second row in the very top back of the theater to the very third row in the front. And it was the most magical night of my life. Thanks for letting me share. Love the pod.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
Okay, so next song is Ugly Love, and this track was released only on DVD in Europe. It was called Exclusive Xbox DVD and came out on the 15th of November 2002, and also included the audio tracks of Hot Fudge, Love Somebody, Nobody Someday, Ugly Love, and Coffee, Tea and Sympathy. It included the video for Let Me Entertain You and a video of Angels live in Cologne, as well as exclusive video footage from the making of Escapology. The DVD was available as part of a bundle when you bought an Xbox DVD remote control that could be used to control DVDs played on the Xbox.
Did you buy an Xbox DVD remote control, Lucy?
No, I didn't have an Xbox. Do now, but didn't then.
It was written by Rob and Guy, and you can find Ugly Love on YouTube. Rob said in Feel that it reminds him of people he used to hang out with and people he used to take drugs with. He mentioned a group of musicians to Chris Heath and wondered how each of them was doing. He said, "That was very messy, actually. That was when I dabbled in a little bit of heroin. I said, what the fuck does it feel like? Like being wrapped in cotton wool? Was it fuck? It was like smoking bad prawns and being sick a lot. We ran out of coke. Luckily, he didn't get on with heroin and said, if it didn't go up my nose, I couldn't get along with it."
Interesting.
Yeah. Bad times by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so what do we think of Ugly Love? Do anyone want to go first? Rhiannon?
I feel like the bad times are very much reflected in the lyrics.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why, it kind of reminded me of Eternity, the intro.
Oh,
and I was
right.
like, oh, this is going to be such a nice, like, slow song. And then it was just, like, very savage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But I do find that with a lot of Rob's songs, just his voice with just a few instruments, like I think it's maybe just a guitar. I'm not very musically inclined, but maybe just like a guitar and like maybe piano or something in this. And it's just, I just love the simplicity of those songs.
Yeah, same.
Like his voice always sounds really nice paired with them, and it sounds nice, but the lyrics on the other hand are quite the opposite.
Yes. They're quite funny though, aren't they?
They are.
I like, you knew I was a pisshead, that's why I never phoned.
Yeah.
So why'd you act surprised? I was drunk on the day we met.
Yeah. It was only downhill from there, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah.
And obviously the chorus, we all got high all the time, night after night, line after line. How did I make I love you sound sincere when you were just a one-night stand that lasted a year?
It's a good line.
It is.
I'd hate for it to be sung about
I
me, but
know.
it's a
Yeah.
good line.
Can you imagine, like, if you were actually seeing him for a year, you know, you wouldn't be viewing it like that, would you?
No.
No,
Kind
no.
of says a bit about, well, how Rob perceived the relationship.
Yeah.
That, you know, it was obviously extremely casual in his mind.
Poor girl.
I was like, in my like notes, I was thinking, geez, everyone says Taylor Swift writes a good like breakup revenge song, but a lot of the songs, like even a few of the B sides on Escapology and a lot of the actual songs on that full album,
Yeah.
they're just full blown revenge
Yeah,
songs.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's a good point. Definitely.
Sometimes probably without knowing it.
Yeah.
But I really like the indie guitar vibe that builds up on this track. You know, because it starts quite simple and melodic, doesn't it? It's just the piano and the acoustic guitar, and then, you know, and then the RR harmonies softly in the background. I was like you, Rhiannon, when I first started listening to it. Oh, this is nice. And then suddenly it was like, oh, okay. Rob loves a contradiction and a juxtaposition, and this does definitely does it. It sounds like, having been in a relationship quite a long time with someone, but mostly just getting smashed and being out of it for that time, and obviously doing everything else that comes with that. And I let Lucy love that line. I don't love it, but I think it's clever. A one-night stand that lasted for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bits about like Patrick Cox and Girl Power, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Cheers, Vanilla Ice and Take That, We Were So Last Year. Yeah. I like that.
I know, when I was listening, I'm like, ooh, little jab in there.
Yeah.
Snuck that one in.
Also, I looked up Evisu Jeans. He says they were so last year as well, because I didn't really know what they were.
No, never had a pair of those.
It says it's a Japanese brand, and they're the ones with that squiggle on the bottom, and apparently that's a stylized seagull. So it's basically like a painted shape on the what's it called, the pocket on your bottom. And they became a popular item in mid-90s London, especially in the clubbing world. And David Beckham wore them.
Oh, they're probably at least £1,000 each then.
I think they were like
not more.
designer jeans, and Jay-Z and Lil
they were
Wayne.
so last year.
Yeah. Jay-Z and Lil Wayne mentioned them in lyrics in songs as well. So I wonder if that's where Rob got the idea to put them in a song. Because he does like that.
Well, it's obviously everything that was vintage and so last year costs an absolute fortune now because it's labelled vintage. So all of these things that he's mentioned are probably lame, aren't so lame anymore.
Yeah. I also like that there's a very profound line in it. Get off the cross, we need the wood.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just made me laugh, that line.
Yeah.
Move along.
Yeah. Just get on.
Yeah.
I think like Rob's obviously always been quite open about his struggles and addiction around this time, and I think just a lot of the songs of Escapology B Sides, Escapology, the full album, they're just so toxic, and this is probably like one of the more toxic ones, but it really says a story as to the relationships and where he was at the time.
Yeah.
And the title is very apt, isn't it? Ugly Love. I mean, you can, if you're in that sort of state for a year, and you're kind of more of a companion with someone rather than actually in a relationship, that's got to be a bit strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially for the other person as well.
I was just going to say, I wonder if the person on the receiving end of this song felt the same way.
Yeah.
Do you think they even knew it was about them? I guess so.
There's probably a few people it could be about, maybe, though.
Well, that's what I was thinking, Rhiannon, and I wonder whether it could actually be not, even though it talks about, you know, a one-night stand for a year, I wonder whether it's actually possibly about more than one person.
Yeah.
You know.
And it could even further than like romantic relationships, even probably friendships at the time and things like that as well.
That's true, yeah. But yeah, I do quite like this song. I think it's fun. It's got a good sound, and I think it's a shame that it's not available to download anywhere and that you can only find it on YouTube.
I think that indie vibe of the time, I really like.
Yeah,
something about just the arrangement of the song. It's just, you know, listening to it in research for this, it's kind of now got stuck in my head.
Yeah,
I don't know about you.
Yeah, I agree. It's just that easy listening that you just kind of relax to, and it's just, you know, you just enjoy listening to those sort of songs. Like I said, I love Rob's voice when it's very simple, so I really, really enjoyed listening to this sort of a stripped back version where his voice does the talking as opposed to loud instruments and things like that.
Yeah, it's great.
Agreed.
So we'll go on to the last song, A Man for All Seasons, which was written by Robbie in collaboration with Oscar-winning composer Hans Zimmer for the Johnny English soundtrack. According to RobbieWilliams.com, the idea for Robbie to sing his first theme song to a movie came out of a casual meeting with working title music supervisor Nick Angel and Robbie's co-manager Tim Clark. Hans Zimmer was already on board to compose the song, and Nick suggested that Robbie would be perfect to sing it and write the lyrics. Robbie loved the idea and got to work immediately. The film came out on the 18th of July 2003 and tells the story of secret agent Johnny English, played by Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah. During the recording of Escapology, Guy complained he was being worked too hard, but then it transpired he was actually working with Natalie Imbruglia on a Sunday, which irked Robbie as he couldn't be as tired as he claimed. A song Guy wrote with Natalie was destined to be used on the Johnny English soundtrack, but it wasn't used. It tickled Rob that the opening theme tune for the film ended up being one he'd written with the film's composer.
Because this was the
bit of juice there.
The period where they were, falling out and having problems, obviously, because it was during Escapology being written. So this song always reminds me of Mr. Entertainer, Michael Watt on the app, who unfortunately died in 2020. Because he always said that this was his favourite Robbie song. And yeah, so just a little shout out to Michael to say that we
thinking about Michael,
we remember him.
Mr. Entertainer there.
Yeah.
All the fans know him, knew him.
Famous in Robbie world, isn't he?
He is.
Yes.
Bless him. So someone asked Robbie if he could remember the lyrics to this on Instagram Live once, I remember. And he did. He just sung a load of the lyrics there and then.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Considering he always says he can't remember his lyrics, I just find it amazing.
It was a random one.
They're all in there somewhere. Just not necessarily. It's like, was it Morecambe and Wise? You're playing all the notes, just not necessarily in the right order.
So yeah, I think it's great that seeing as Rob's never been asked to sing a James Bond theme, this is the closest he's going to get.
Yeah.
It's got some...
I think it was perfect for the movie, this song.
Oh, yeah.
It just suited the movie so much. And I remember getting so excited. It was the same at the end of Finding Nemo.
Yes.
But I just love it when there's a Robbie song in a movie.
Yeah.
It just makes it that bit more special. It's like, it's a Robbie song now.
Yeah. But it's great that it's the
thought,
opening credits, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So everyone has to sit through it.
You will love him.
Yes.
Are you a James Bond fan, Rhiannon? You like a bit of spy movie type stuff?
I do, but I wouldn't say like I'm 100% up to date on them.
Right.
Like I'm probably more of a Rowan Atkinson fan.
Oh, yeah.
James Bond fan.
So you watched all his Mr. Bean stuff in the early days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed this movie. I remember watching it with my dad when I was growing up, and I'm like, Daddy, Rob's on now. It's Robbie's song. But yeah, I just thought it was so fitting. And because it was like a humorous movie, and like the lines at the end where it's like Queen and country safe and sound with villains 6 feet underground, and sort of how it was sung quite quickly, I think it just really worked really well with the movie and like the humorous side of the movie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a bit on the edge, isn't it? That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
There's some crazy lyrics in it. So many crazy lyrics, as usual.
Yeah.
But I love this verse. Hey, fellas, don't be jealous. When they made him, they broke the mould. So charismatic with an automatic, never prematurely shooting his load.
I know.
And that went out. I mean, what
on a children's film.
Was it a U or a PG or
PG,
something?
I think.
Yeah. So obviously, there's nothing rude about that line because he's talking about the gun. But I love how he gets away with that as well.
Yeah.
I just think that's classic.
From the House of Lords, saving Norfolk Broads, commoners and landed gentry, his word is bond, with a brunette or blonde. Baby, it's so elementary. So I like that he's got a little mention of Bond in there, i.e. James Bond, and it's so elementary. It's a little reference to Sherlock Holmes as well. They're just really clever lyrics.
I think it almost like revisits back to that swing when you win in as well. Like Escapology obviously came out after that. I'm not sure when this was written, but it was sort of still that touch point with that swing style of song.
Yes. And to write with Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't make that note, but I just remembered back to who he actually wrote it with the dispute with Guy and everything. That must have been just cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Hans Zimmer's written so many incredible film soundtracks and
Yeah.
And I love the bit at the end when the ooh, ooh, ooh sound effect happens. It sounds a bit, it's, I don't know, it sounds a bit like Doctor Who to me at the end.
How does
that
it?
Sort of ooh, ooh, ooh.
I
I
can't
can't
remember.
do that sound effect with my voice, but you know, if you listen to it, you know what I mean.
And
It's
it's
a good
almost
song.
like the classic rhyming as well. Like in the first sort of verse, it's like back Hades, ladies, sack, like the last lines, back Jack. Like it's really that typical rhyming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost children's
Really
rhyming
literal.
though,
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
children's film.
And even like the Queen and Country, safe and sound, villain 6 feet underground, no one knows because no one's found.
Yeah.
Is really rolling on with that rhyming
Yeah.
within the whole song. It just makes it that bit more, I guess, humorous to
Yeah.
fit the film as well.
We haven't actually watched Johnny English with our kids yet. We've got it on DVD because
I think we
my
went
old
to once and then didn't for some
Yeah.
reason. Yeah.
my old agency did the PR for that one as well. Not me personally, but I've got a copy of it. I keep thinking we'll force them to watch it, but you know, my son's always like, "Oh no, there's this Marvel film, and there's this Batman film, or there's this Star Wars," and it just never happens.
That's like me with my 4-year-old. I say, oh, let's listen to Uncle Robbie, because I have the framed photo of me up on the stage with Robbie
Oh yeah,
in the house.
yeah.
It's like, who's that? Is that Dad? I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, that's Uncle Robbie. And I'm like, you will like him.
Uncle Robbie.
I've
He
tried
will
to
be your
encourage
favourite.
ours. Yeah, Chloe's determined not to like him. Well,
Yeah.
they both are really now, aren't they? They're fighting against it because we both like him.
Yeah.
It's like a, you know,
Rebellion.
yeah.
Yeah.
We won't like him. Lucy says she's tried. I mean, let's face it. You put CDs in your car and they're in the car for 3 to 4 months on repeat. And so when we used to actually, well, we do drive places a little bit more now, but when you used to take the kids out and they were younger,
Yeah.
you say yours is 4, Rhiannon.
Yes, nearly
So
4.
when our kids were sort of that sort of age and younger, Lucy used to just put the CD on repeat in the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, they were brainwashed into it. So they
Yeah.
probably know more of the lyrics and more of the songs than they even realise.
Yeah.
Cruel,
So I need
isn't
to
it?
change tact and listen to different things so that he doesn't not
Right.
like it in 4 or 5 years' time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd recommend changing it every now and
Yeah.
again.
Just
Yeah.
some subliminal
Yeah.
brainwashing in there.
And one other just factoid before we go. I just looked it up, and Hans Zimmer actually did the motion picture soundtrack for No Time to Die.
Oh, wow.
He might have done a few more, but that one just popped up when I was looking up Hans Zimmer to see what he'd done. He also did the recent film Dune,
Oh, wow.
which I loved, which Lucy says she won't be going to see because she doesn't like that sort of thing. But there we go. What an incredible person to work with.
Yeah.
I'm sure Robbie enjoyed that.
Have
So-
to get him on a Bond one next.
Well, one day, but I can't see
Yeah.
him ever doing it.
No, because now they've gone that really different route with Billie Eilish
Yeah.
and things like that, like really alternative and
Yeah.
strange
Yeah.
sort of songs.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see if there is a new Bond franchise. Let's not do any spoilers for anyone, but if there's a new Bond franchise on the way, who knows what direction they might go in, you know? Maybe once he makes his proper acting debut with his film, that's it.
know.
His acting career will take off and
Maybe he will be the Bond.
might be a Bond
Yeah.
villain, you never know. Or the Bond. After the huge climax of Nebworth, Robbie completed the final leg of his Weekends of Mass Distraction tour in the autumn of 2003. This part was accidentally billed Weekends of Mass Destruction, hence the internal tour nickname Aussie Typo. He was supported by 80s pop legends Duran Duran.
A mentally unprepared Robbie found his first gigs a strain. He explained to Chris Heath, "It was a bit like I'd literally been, say, flicking through the TV channels, watching what was on the television, and then all of a sudden somebody had just plopped me on top of the stage with the cane and a nice new suit and a big haircut, and I was just about to do 2 hours."
In the middle of Nan's song on the first night in Lisbon, Rob described how he felt like walking off stage mid-concert in a calm way, but he managed to stop himself. After the second Lisbon show, he told David he didn't want to do the planned South American and South African tour, which had been scheduled for the following February in 2004. Only 5 days earlier, he had confirmed he wanted to do those tours, and tickets were on the verge of going on sale, but the tour was then completely cancelled.
He played 13 European arena dates before going on to Australia to play a further 4 shows. The tour ran from the 19th of October to the 14th of December 2003, taking in 2 nights in Portugal, 2 in Switzerland, 2 in Italy, and 1 each in Spain, Hungary, Czech Republic, Poland, Russia, and Norway. There were 4 shows in Australia, closing with 2 in Sydney. The setlist and band members were the same as the earlier shows, including Nebworth.
The Melbourne Herald Sun said, last night he performed the first of 2 Sydney concerts to 40,000 fans at Aussie Stadium. Dressed down in tatty jeans, a sleeveless t-shirt, sneakers and a hooded vest, Williams opened up with an electric "Let Me Entertain You." One lucky woman named Alison was hauled on stage by Williams for a long pash with the singer. "I do it every night, but you're the only one who hasn't stunk. You're a very good kisser," Williams said. Oh dear, what's he like? What is he like?
So, Rhiannon, you didn't get to go to that tour, did you, even though you were a fan?
No.
So tell us about that.
I guess it was probably when my peak fandom started.
Yeah.
And I remember having the biggest argument with my dad. It's like this little spoiled brat teenager the night before wanting to go. But I had exams, high school exams the next day. They weren't even serious exams, so I don't know why I couldn't go.
So it wasn't like official like GCSEs as we call them here?
No.
It's just like an end of year sort of exam.
Yeah. So I could have gone and been really tired the next day for my exams. But my girlfriend, one of my best friends, went and like she sort of introduced me to Robbie as well, I suppose. And we always go to Robbie. We queue together every time he comes. And she went and she called me back then because obviously it was like mobile phones, you couldn't FaceTime. So she called me the whole concert. It must have cost her an absolute fortune.
The whole show?
The whole
Yeah, the whole show. So I was sitting there studying, listening to this concert on the phone. And like, I'm sure you guys remember, if anyone called you from a concert, it was like you could hardly hear, but I felt like I was a part of it.
Yes.
So she was front row. So that show, I'm pretty sure was at what's now Marvel Stadium. So it's like one of the biggest stadiums to have a concert at in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And it's where he's had sort of he's gone back to arenas in Melbourne now, but he had the next tour, the Close Encounters tour there as well. And it would have been a massive crowd because it holds a hell of a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I think even somewhere I've got printed out photos that my friend Bree took for me. So I was still a part of it.
Oh, it's really sad that you couldn't go.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, my first official tour was Close Encounters, which I think was a couple of years later.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, at least you got to experience it live, though, even if it was through a phone.
Sitting in my dark bedroom pretending to read a biology book.
Can you remember that it was biology?
No.
So could she actually enjoy the concert if she was holding the phone?
Yeah, I guess so, because it's probably just... It's not like FaceTime where you have to hold it up, I guess.
But she wouldn't have been able to like take any pictures very easily or clap.
Phones didn't do that then.
No, I mean with her, because she would have
camera,
needed to take pictures with her camera.
Yeah.
Maybe she was with other people. She must have been with other people.
Yeah,
and
I think she was,
her.
yeah. So she pushed to the front. She's like tiny little thing, and she pushed right to the front. She would have only been maybe 16, 17 herself, and pushed to the front and was at the front row. So, yeah, I have she did take some photos, so she obviously managed it somehow, but I've got some printed photos of it, and, yeah, I can pretend I was a part of it.
Yeah.
Did you guys go to that tour?
Yeah, we went to Nebworth.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the once.
That would have been amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, surreal being amongst all those people.
It's just so many.
It was surreal.
I think that...
Yeah. Surreal remembering back to it. I mean, a bit like you said earlier, I think you were saying earlier on, you have memories through the video footage of it. I think I can remember most of it, but yeah, the video sort of reminds us that we were actually there in a weird way. It's like, wow, were we really in all those people?
Yeah. And it was such a hot day. Our friend got
it was
sunburned.
absolutely scorching for the UK. I mean, you're used to that, but it was really, really hot. Like most people in the UK are never prepared for that kind of weather.
No.
Yeah.
Certainly my mate wasn't.
I think he put a newspaper over his head or something.
Yeah, I think maybe he had the hanky or the newspaper or something. He had a newspaper hat, I think, didn't he?
Yeah. Something like that.
Shout out to Star.
Because he was burning. I don't know why none of us were burning. It was just him. It's weird. Anyway, that's one of my memories.
Because he's ginger, maybe?
He's not really ginger.
No, he's not.
So whereabouts in the massive people were you? Towards the front? Towards
We were in
middle,
the
back?
front pit, but about halfway back in the pit, I'd say. We didn't want to be right at the front, which looking back, it was the right decision for the time. But now we just, why did we do that?
That would never be a consideration. It'd be like front.
We don't know any other way anymore, do we? We're used to sitting on cold concrete for days on end.
But I mean, I've been to Glastonbury before that. I'm not sure, and we might have been to some, I don't know whether you'd been to stadium gigs and things, but I don't know whether we've ever been in a crowd that big.
No. Well,
standing.
I had, because I went to see Oasis at Nebworth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was because of that experience that I knew that we had to get there early to be in the pit. So
what time did you guys get there?
I can't really remember. It must have been about 7.
It's quite early. But
8,
it wasn't
something
silly
like that.
early. It was quite early, though. It wasn't like 4 a.m, but it was...
Yeah, it was like 7 or 8 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I think we might have left at 4 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's like how everyone, like even people who maybe haven't seen Robbie live, like everyone knows that concert. Like it's just so well known and so entertaining. And I feel like probably Escapology and that concert like just cemented him with so many fans, whether or not they're diehards or not. Like just people loved him from there and realised what a great entertainer he was.
Yeah. And you have to be, don't you, with a crowd of that size and a stage of that size. It was epic. It was so big.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be even larger than life, Robbie, and I think he was aware of that, to actually engage and connect with people and do the sort of personal connection at the front and all the different things that he does. I think people sometimes don't realise what an effort what a skill and an art that actually is to keep all of that going and remember all of the lyrics and he's supported with that. But, you know, just keep everything going. That's a star performer, you know.
Absolutely.
I know we're biased, but it is.
But we're right.
Yes.
We're biased, but we're right.
So should we just quickly mention some of the other things that came out?
A few other things that happened. So there was the Robbie Williams show DVD, and this was the Pinewood Studios promo show that appeared on TV to promote the release of Escapology, that was released on DVD on the 31st of March 2003. It was certified 6 times platinum in Australia with 90,000 sales. It went platinum in the UK, Germany, France and Austria.
And then obviously there's the Live at Nebworth or Live Summer 2003 CD, which came out on the 29th of September. It was called Live Summer 2003 outside of the UK, I believe. It reached number 2 in the UK, where it stayed in the top 10 for 4 weeks, was in the top 40 for 13 weeks. It's the best-selling live album in the UK with 638,000 sales, making it 2 times platinum.
Wow.
It was also the second fastest-selling live album ever in the UK, second to Take That's the Circus live. It sold 120,000 copies in its first week, giving a final 2-finger salute to Oasis, who only sold half that amount with their own live album from Nebworth.
Would have made him a happy man.
Yeah.
You liked saying that, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yes. That's incredible that it's the best-selling album in the UK.
Well, I think it still is. But
live album.
Yeah. I couldn't find facts to say that it still is, but I it was at that point.
Let's say based on our research.
Yeah.
I'm sure none of our fans are going to disagree, put it that way.
Yeah.
Our fans, our audience.
Robbie fans.
Fans, our fellow fans, not our fans. We don't have fans. Live at Nebworth has global sales of 3.5 million copies and was certified 2 times platinum in Europe with over 2 million sales. In Germany, it was the 19th best-selling album of the decade. It reached number 1 in Austria, Germany and Portugal, 2 in Switzerland, 3 in Australia, 4 in Italy, 5 in Belgium and 6 in New Zealand. It was 3 times platinum in Argentina, 2 times platinum in Australia, Austria, Portugal and Switzerland, platinum in Denmark and New Zealand, and it went 9 times gold in Germany, gold in Finland, France, Hungary, Netherlands and Sweden.
So yeah,
So it
very
did
big.
pretty well.
Yeah.
It did okay.
Globally.
A few people bought it here and there.
And then What We Did Last Summer DVD was released on the 24th of November 2003, selling 350,000 copies in the UK, making it 7 times platinum. It went 12 times platinum in Australia and Portugal, 3 times in Austria, 2 in France, platinum in Argentina, 11 times gold in Germany, and gold in Mexico. There was a red carpet premiere for the DVD at Odeon, Leicester Square, where Rob signed autographs on the way in and did some brief TV interviews. Ralph Fiennes introduced a UNICEF film about child exploitation, then introduced Rob, who introduced the DVD.
The Daily Record said, thankfully, Mr. Williams's Escapology live album doesn't fall short of anything other than scintillating. Robbie's Nebworth gig saw the entertaining Supremo perform in front of 375,000 fans over the course of 3 glorious evenings, and the album is a testament to his talent. A 10th anniversary box set to commemorate the Nebworth gigs was released on the 29th of July 2013, including the live album, as well as an updated DVD and Blu-ray. So what did you do to get it 12 times platinum in Australia? I want to know that, Rhiannon. I'm sure you have the answer. You bought them all.
Christmas presents to all my family.
It went. That What We Did Last Summer DVD looks as though it was higher selling in Australia and Portugal.
Yeah.
Because it went 7 times platinum in the UK. Yeah, so it was super popular in also at that time.
Was he at his peak then?
Yeah. Like I feel like everyone just had those CDs and those DVDs, especially like, you know, you'd go to friends' houses and the family would be watching them. Like I just remember heaps of people having it. Like I think even my mum bought it. Like it was when I just think Escapology, he really hit his peak here and he had a huge fan base and a huge following. And I think that album was just so well known for all the different songs and the entertainment on it. And I know heaps of people had it here.
Yeah.
And did he do a lot of promo at the time when he was over there? Was he on a lot of different TV shows and things?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I imagine he would have been to get those sort of sales. Like they're massive. I don't know. Do you guys know what time of year it was released?
Yeah, it was November, was it?
Yeah, November 2003.
For the DVD.
The DVD came out.
Yeah. I feel like...
that was when he toured, wasn't it? Yeah, so the tour ended in December 2003 in Sydney. Yeah. So that DVD came out at the same time that he was on tour there.
That makes sense.
Everyone got that as a Christmas present by the sounds of it.
They did. I know I did that year.
Yeah.
I had the CD and the DVD. And I was surprised about Robbie Williams' show doing really well as well.
Yeah.
Like I know the Nebworth stuff was super popular, but we did quite well here for that too.
Yeah.
I loved that DVD.
Yeah.
I just thought it was awesome. The small, intimate audience, like it would have been so cool to have been there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. We rewatched it recently. It was really enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, he seemed to be in the
ages.
zone, didn't he? Really relaxed and enjoying it. And
Yeah. And I think he sang like just some really cool songs that he doesn't often sing. Like I'm pretty sure he sang Hot Fudge on it.
Yeah.
And I just love that song. And he actually included it in this set list for, I think it was Let Me Entertain You tour here. he added in Hot Fudge, and I just love that song.
Yeah.
It's just so fun and just got such a cool beat to it, and it's really, really fun to sing and dance
Yeah,
to. So I
it is.
really like that he did that on that DVD.
Yeah.
Me too, Rhiannon. Love Hot Fudge.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is good.
And I just always think of that lady, and she's leaning on the stage, and he's like picking on her. He's like, "Oh, you're leaning on the stage so seductively."
Oh, yeah. And then his ring falls off.
He gives it to someone, doesn't he?
No, a girl, a mum actually, it was to her daughter, picked it up and gave it back to him. And he's like, that's worth however much money, you know. I can't remember. You should have kept that or something. He
Put it
said,
on eBay or something, yeah.
you should have put that on eBay. He's just really nice to her for the rest of the show.
Yeah. He was really good on that, like his charisma, and, you know, he's so quick-witted, and just, the entertainer in him came through on that, I reckon.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move to that part of the podcast where we each pick our favourite song from the album to go on our playlist, which you can find on RobbieWilliamsRewind.com. So who should we start with? Anybody like to kick off?
Well, I know exactly which song I'm picking. Do you, Rhiannon?
Yeah, I think I do. What happens if we all have the same one?
Then we have to pick something different.
We have to
Oh,
fight
do we?
it out.
Do you want to go first?
I think mine would be One Fine Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant choice.
Yeah. There's just, I don't know, I feel like it is quite hard to choose with this one. Like
Yeah.
I've said it a million times this podcast, but I just love so many of them. But yeah, I think it would be that one.
Great. One Fine Day.
Well, mine's an easy choice. It's Coffee, Tea and Sympathy. 'Cause I've always loved that song.
Yeah.
It's the perfect little song. Perfect melody. Interesting lyrics.
Well, it makes it very easy for me because I've got a different one as well.
Oh, good.
And that is Nobody Someday.
Wow.
Ah.
Just love
I
it.
think we've got all our favourites in there. Like we all had similar favourites and we've all got
Yeah.
them in.
Yes. Yeah. Just love it. Raw, authentic, Rob.
Yeah.
Mm.
Vulnerable, Robbie.
Mm.
Or Rob.
Yeah, a bit of both in there.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll add those to the playlist.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's going to be a good playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it's got more on it.
Fan-sourced playlist, yeah.
Thanks for listening. Tune into the next episode when we will discuss Rob's first greatest hits album and the B-sides to the singles Radio and Misunderstood.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Rhiannon. Really appreciate you coming on. It's been wonderful to hear the Aussie perspective on things and your stories.
Yeah.
We really, really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much. It's been awesome. I've had a great time.
It's nice to just sit and chat Robbie for a bit, isn't it?
I know it is, because you don't often find many people that are willing to sit down and talk Robbie for a few hours.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
We could probably carry on for many more.
Yeah.
But it's been
No,
really
it's been
nice
awesome.
really nice to actually get to chat to you for the first time as well.
I know. Outside of the chat room and
Yeah.
physically see
Yes.
each other and hear each other.
Yeah.
And I'm sure at some point we'll get to meet and, either we'll come to Oz if I can convince Lucy that, it's safe to do so. Not corona, I mean spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like I might be seeing you in London beforehand. It sounds like it might be harder to get Lucy down with the spiders.
Yeah. Yeah, come over to London.
Yeah. Will do.
So, just before we wrap up this episode, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out. And also, Lucy and I would really appreciate it if you can leave us a star rating. You can do this on both Apple and Spotify podcasts. We would also love it if you could write us a short review, and you can do this on Apple. Don't forget, you can check out our episode notes for each episode and links to all tracks and videos at RobbieWilliamsRewind.com. You can also email us at email@RobbieWilliamsRewind.com. Please also follow and chat on our social channels. It's at RewindRobbie on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. And you can also like and follow our Facebook page, Robbie Williams Rewind. And before we return to this episode, you might also consider sending us one of your own Robbie stories for the show. Just record a short audio clip on your phone and email it to us. please check the website for more details. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
Well, take care.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
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 Robbie Williams Rewind.